Hi YouTubers, good evening to you, and this is Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you with the subject of bullet lubes for cast bullets. So what you see here is a 240 grain Keith 44 Magnum bullet on the left, and on the right you have a 310 grain Lee round nose flat point gas check, and it's lubed with Lyman Super Moly bullet lube. And this is what it looks like. Comes in this little tube. Now this is available for $3.99 a tube from Natchez Shooter Supply. Now some other places will charge up to an extra $1 more for the same lube. So it does pay to shop around. $3.99 is a good price for bullet lube. So that's Super Moly. What it has in there is molybdenum disulfide, which is a lubricant, gives it the black color, and it works very well for lubing cast bullets. You won't get any leading, but there'll be a fair amount of smoke. Now here we see a 240 grain Keith 44 Magnum cast bullet lubed with Lyman 50/50 Alox Beeswax. And here's what it looks like. Lyman bullet lube, Alox, 50% beeswax, 50% Alox. This is the NRA formula. Been around for a long time, works very well. Now beeswax is a very good carrier type of ingredient for bullet lubes. And beeswax is made by, of course, honeybees, and it is actually a construction material for the bees. And that's what makes it so good for bullet lubes. Because of the fact that the beeswax has the right consistency and the right stickiness, the same things that make it very good for construction of beehives also gives it the right properties to stay in the grooves of cast bullets. Now this lube is very good. It will not cause leading, but it does make smoke also, and it's not recommended to use Alox for indoor ranges. Does smoke a bit, maybe just a little bit less than the Moly lube, but it works very well, especially for outdoor use. Again, this is $3.99 a tube at Natchez Shooter Supply. But again, if you buy it at other outlets, you might spend an extra $1 a tube. Now this lube is a very popular lube. It's called Lyman Orange Magic. And it's a high-tech lube. Does not smoke as much as the other two, and is good for indoor ranges. So whenever I go to indoor ranges, I use these bullets with the Lyman Orange Magic. And this lube is a little more expensive, except when you buy it for $3.99 a tube at Natchez. It's the same price as the other two. Now, because the price of bullet lubes is going up, very popular now is to go ahead and make your own lube. And so what we have here is a cake of bullet lube. And there are 2 cakes here. And notice that this lube is soft, but it doesn't melt up to 110 degrees. And the neat thing about making your own bullet lube is that these 2 cost about a little less than $25 for the materials. So you see that compared to the size of these tubes, that we're getting roughly 5 times the amount of lube for the same money. So yes, it is more work to make, but it does pay off in cost savings. So if you take the empty plastic tubes that the purchased lubricants, bullet lubricants, are packaged in, and you save the empty tubes, and then you punch a hole in the caps and place a dowel through, that if we make our own bullet lube, we can use a turkey baster to fill these tubes up, and then the little dowel will center itself when we put the top cap over, and we will wind up with hollow stick bullet lube. So this lube is the same as in these cakes. Now, when we make our own bullet lube, I don't recommend that we make it on the kitchen stove, because your girlfriend or your wife will not appreciate it, because it's very easy for wax to get onto the stove. It'll make a mess and difficult to clean. So I recommend using a 2-pound coffee can, and when we make lead ingots, this can be set onto the stove after we're done making the ingots to make our bullet lube. Here's a nice handy paint stirrer to stir the melted lube as we're making it. So here's a recipe. Get paraffin wax. Now, paraffin wax has become more expensive. If you buy these in a package at Walmart in the canning department, you might spend $10 for a box, or a couple boxes might be $10. Another source of paraffin wax is go to the hobby store and ask for paraffin wax, and they'll sell it to you in these big sheets, these big cakes. Used to be very reasonable, but now as the price is going up, all petroleum products seem to be going up. But once again, we can make 2 cakes like this for less than $25. This is solid bullet lube. So the recipe is take the paraffin wax, put it in your 2-pound coffee can, and melt it on a slow heat on your Coleman stove. So I made my bullet lube before the Coleman stove conked out on me, but you can use any heat sources. Make sure you turn it on to a low flame. Take your time melting this, because you don't want to flash the wax and have it become flamed. If the wax smokes excessively, turn the heat down. The 2-pound coffee can is a very handy way to melt the wax, because the fumes will come up and be very far from the low flame, so you won't ignite the fumes. Now, get yourself some ordinary Vaseline. This tub costs $4 from the drugstore. And you're going to mix 1 part of this to 2 parts of this. So a neat way to do it is you melt your paraffin wax and you actually see a level in the coffee can. Simply add half again as much of petroleum jelly until you get half again the height of the paraffin wax. Then mix in about 3 tablespoons of standard RCBS case lube. So 3 tablespoons of this. Now, because I don't like leaded gun barrels, I usually add a bottle of Lyman, Lee liquid Alox. Or, if you prefer, you can add 3 tablespoon scoops of Johnson paste wax. Melt it all together, and when it's nice and liquid, then take your turkey baster and you can make these tubes. If you have a bunch of these made, you can make your own tubes of bullet lube in these tubes. So this is what it looks like. Or you can make these big cakes just by simply taking your wax and pouring it into a container like this. And after the containers are properly filled, place it into the refrigerator and it'll chill, and then simply knock the cakes out and you get this. Beautiful bullet lube. Now I use these cakes by simply shaving off and then slipping the lube in these thin strips into the sizer lubricator, and that works well. Or you can make your own hollow sticks and they'll slip right into your sizer lubricator. So YouTubers out there, it's not hard to do, and if you do it outdoors on a Coleman stove or other heat source on a low heat, it's safe to make this bullet lube and economical, and any mess will be outdoors. To keep a mess off the ground, you should put down some kind of cover, such as a piece of old plywood, so that in case you have a spill, you don't have a big mess to clean up. Thank you, YouTubers out there. And right now I don't have any bullets lubed with this, but when they're done, they look something like that. And this is sticky, and it'll stay into your bullets, and they work fine. You will not lead your gun barrel with this lube. Bye for now.